If you're relying mostly on word of mouth to grow your gym, eventually your gym will fail. I've helped transform 47 gyms, and the ones on the brink of failure mostly have the same problems. Now, there's a number of problems it could be, but in this video, I'll be breaking down on why just relying on word of mouth is killing your growth. It isn't scalable and it isn't predictable, and it's definitely not going to get you past your revenue goal. Today, I'll be showing you exactly what I've done to add 758 members to gyms. Quickly, before we get into this video, if you want to have this exact system done for you, bulletproof, built into your gym, click the link below and book a call in my calendar. Otherwise, listen up and implement it yourself. Word of mouth is broken. It doesn't work, at least not in my experience and not with the 47 gyms I'm working with. The biggest issue with word of mouth is there's no consistency. There is zero consistency and zero predictability. If you're trying to run a successful gym and run it as a business, not as a job for yourself, well then you need to predict how many members you have to get to hit your revenue goal, to pay your coaches, to invest in the facility, and there's no way you can do that through word of mouth. How do you know if someone is going to refer your business to their friend or tell the neighbor or tell their family member? There's no predictability. As opposed to running a system where we can have an exact cost amount to acquire to get that customer, well, that system, we can spend a specific amount to get a specific amount of customers. It's kind of like wanting to hit a PB on your 5K run and not having any training plan, no programming, no consistency across the weeks to build up to your thing, just sitting there on your sofa going, hopefully I get this 5K PB. It's a lot less likely, right? And this is how paid ads work to acquire a customer for a cost and to get members for a set cost with predictability. So before I get into the paid ad strategy, my experience with word of mouth was when I was stuck at around 6K a month in my gym, sleeping under the stairs, doing all of the work myself, doing all the coaching, all the cleaning, no freedom and no money, I was relying on word of mouth. The thing that changed was when I built a system to get new members, and it included using paid advertisements. Through paid advertisements, we can predictably get customers, and how we do this is by working out something called ROAS, return on ad spend. This means if I spend £1 in adverts, how much money do I get back in memberships? On average, with the gyms I'm working with, we have a 10x ROAS, meaning for every £1 that we spend, we will convert into £10 worth of memberships. So imagine I gave you a system where I said, for every £1 you give me, I'm going to pay you £10. How many times are you giving me that £1? Likely a lot, right? And that is the key to making this whole thing predictable, scalable, and knowing that you can get more members. So before I tell you exactly how to do this, I want to talk about the flywheel effect. The flywheel effect is something where when you've got more members, it's easier to get more referrals. So if you're a smaller gym and you maybe don't have as many members, you're not one of these big commercial gyms with tens of thousands of members, your organic word of mouth is a lot more difficult than these bigger gyms. So if we can actually get more members into the facility and onboarded into the gym, you're actually going to get more word of mouth. But word of mouth as a strategy to grow your gym is really difficult, because if we take the center here, so these are your members. Now, all these people next outside of your members are their friends and family. These people are the in constant conversation with the members, and outside of that is Instagram, social media, people that aren't in direct relation. Well, most people are actually in this outer ring. There's most people in your local area that aren't members or friends and family as your members. Now, the bigger that we get these members at your gym, the more friends and family get referred into becoming a member for you. But if we have a small gym, well, of course, this circle is just going to be much smaller and you're going to get less referrals. It's not going to be as easy to grow. Everyone knows who Henry Ford is. How did Henry Ford become so successful in mass producing the Ford vehicle? Well, guess what? It didn't rely on him telling his neighbors and his customers telling his neighbors about his cars. No, It came from him using ads. All the biggest companies use paid ads to grow and scale. So as a small business, there's no reason why you shouldn't do the same. Back to how we make this super profitable. You need a front end program at your gym. What I mean by front end program is something that people buy into for a set start date and end date and they pay for, like a course or program. It could be a 4-week, a 6-week, an 8-week, a 12-week program. But there's a start date and there's an end date and people pay for that thing. There's a couple of reasons to why this is important and utilizing it in paid ads. If we have a paid ad run into just a monthly recurring gym subscription, well, there's going to be a lot less buy-in from the customer because what do they get as the end result? Where's the onboarding? When do I start? And how do I get results from this? As opposed to if we have a 4-week intro program, this is the thing that they're going to pay for and is going to fund the ads. Paid advert to front end program. So we have a paid advert that runs to a front end program, which we then sign up into a long-term client. So let's say we pay £10 on an ad and we generate £50 in our front end program. So right away, our cost to acquire the customer is £10. And for every £10 spent, we're generating a sale at £50. So right there, we have an immediate return on ad spend of 5, meaning that every £1 spent, we get £5 back. From this customer then, we sign long-term into a 12-month agreement at £50 a month, as an example, and we generate £600 across the 12 months. So from that £10 spent, we've actually generated £600 in membership signups across the year. Once we have these numbers dialed in and we can understand how much it's going to cost to get these customers, you have a predictable and consistent way to get more members on board. Even if you were to spend £100 on ads and you only generated £100 for your front end program, in other words, you only covered the cost of the ads in the first 30 days, you've essentially within 30 days got this customer in for nothing, and then we sell them into a 12-month program, which £100 a month, for example, we actually generate £1,200 across the year. Well, okay, we've not made money in the first 4 weeks, but every month after that, we're making £100, £100, £100. And across a 12-month long-term sign-up, that's £1,200 for £100 spent. These are the numbers you need to know. And this is the system you need to use to grow and scale, not relying on whether someone's going to refer your business or not. Go out and actually take action, build the system, use paid ads to acquire customers, and you will never be stuck wondering where your next customer is coming from. Look, probably a lot of you have used ads before and they haven't worked. The first 10 campaigns I ran didn't work either. There's a lot to running a successful advert. Anyone can pay Meta or a social media company or a billboard to put an advert up to promote their message, but that doesn't result in sales. It doesn't result in members signing up. The problem that most people have when running ads is they focus on a discount or a 20% off, and there's no real offer, there's no real hook or something enticing someone to sign up at your gym. The other thing where people go wrong is not having a clear follow-up system. So when someone clicks that ad, it's no good replying to them 2 days later or even 2 hours later. There's a study from Harvard, MIT business study, and it analyzed thousands of sales interactions, and the difference from responding to a cold lead from 5 minutes to 30 minutes was 100 times more likely to get a response at 5 minutes. So the rate at which you follow up is massively important in running ads also. These little things make a massive difference when you're running ad campaigns. So what you need to focus on when you're to run a successful advert is a really high converting offer, something that entices people in and makes them want to start. And then it's the follow-up system. So at GymGrow and the GymGrow system we use actually uses AI to follow up with the client and book them into a meeting with yourself down at your gym. If you don't have that, I'd potentially recommend you hiring someone part-time to reply to people immediately and get them booked into a consultation or a discovery meeting at your gym. I've run thousands of ad campaigns and spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on adverts, on paid ads. So when you join the Gym Grow system, you're not only paying for what we can deliver, but you're also paying for our mistakes and what we've learned to get you to your goal faster. Click the link below if you want this implemented in your gym.